Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this explosive edition of entertainment news where the worlds of classic sitcom royalty and modern reality TV collide in the most unexpected way imaginable. Today, we're diving deep into the shocking incident that has set social media ablaze and left fans of daytime television reeling from disbelief. The title alone is enough to make headlines pulse with urgency. Marla Gibbs kicked off the real daytime show with Garcelle Beauvais after heated argument. Yes, you heard that right. The legendary Marla Gibbs, the iconic Florence Johnston from the Jeffersons, the sassy matriarch of 227, a woman whose career spans over 5 decades of groundbreaking television, found herself unceremoniously escorted from the set of The Real, Fox's beloved syndicated talk show, following a fiery confrontation with co-host Garcelle Beauvais. This wasn't just any guest appearance, it was supposed to be a celebration of Black excellence, a nostalgic nod to Gibbs's enduring legacy as she approached her 94th birthday in June 2025, sharing wisdom from her illustrious path. But what started as lighthearted banter quickly escalated into a verbal showdown that exposed raw nerves, generational divides, and the unspoken tensions that simmer beneath the glossy surface of daytime TV. Picture this: the studio lights beaming down on the vibrant set of The Real, with its colorful couches arranged in a semicircle, the audience buzzing with anticipation, and the co-hosts, Adrienne Bailon-Houghton, Lonnie Love, Jeannie Mai Jenkins, and Garcelle Beauvais, flashing their signature warm smiles as they introduce their special guest. Marla Gibbs enters the stage, elegant as ever in a tailored pantsuit adorned with subtle jewelry that whispers of old Hollywood glamour, her presence commanding immediate respect and applause that echoes through the soundstage. At 94 years young, Marla moves with the grace of someone half her age, her eyes sparkling with that trademark wit that has disarmed audiences since her debut on The Jeffersons in 1975. Garcelle, the poised and fierce co-host known for her roles in Spider-Man, Homecoming and her trailblazing stint on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, rises to greet her, their embrace a symbol of sisterhood in an industry that hasn't always been kind to Black women. The segment kicks off smoothly, with the hosts fawning over Marla's anecdotes from her glory days, tales of sparring with Sherman Hemsley as George Jefferson, the behind-the-scenes hilarity of 227's Mary Jenkins' character, and even her ventures into jazz club ownership with Marla's Memory Lane in South Central LA. Laughter fills the air as Lonnie Love cracks jokes about Florence's snarky one-liners, and Adrienne shares how 227 was appointment viewing in her household growing up. But then, as the conversation pivots to modern representation, Garcelle steers it toward a more pointed discussion on the evolution, or lack thereof, of roles for Black women in Hollywood. It's here, in this seemingly innocuous transition, that the first sparks fly. Marla, ever the straight shooter, responds with a comment that lands like a punchline gone wrong. "Honey, back in my day, we didn't have all this fuss about diversity quotas, we just showed up, stole the scene, and let the work speak for itself." The audience chuckles nervously, but Garcelle's smile tightens ever so slightly, her eyes narrowing as she presses, "Auntie, with all due respect, that's exactly the bootstrap mentality that kept doors closed for too long. Women like me had to fight twice as hard because legends like you paved the way without the systemic support." The studio falls into a hush, the kind that precedes thunder, as the other hosts exchange glances, sensing the shift from camaraderie to confrontation. This moment, captured in crystal clear 4K for the world to dissect later on YouTube clips and TikTok edits, marks the beginning of an unraveling that no one saw coming. To fully appreciate the gravity of this clash, we must rewind the tape on these two powerhouses. Marla Gibbs, born Margaret Teresa Bradley in Chicago on June 14, 1931, rose from the ashes of a segregated America to become a beacon of comedic genius. Her father, Douglas, a self-taught mechanic and ice company owner, and her mother, Ophelia, a savvy businesswoman who ran a theater, hotel, and boarding home, instilled in her a resilience that would define her career. Moving to Detroit as a child, Marla honed her talents in school plays and community theater, but it was her move to Los Angeles in the 1960s that catapulted her into the spotlight. After years of bit parts and commercials, she landed the role of Florence on The Jeffersons, a spin-off of All in the Family that boldly tackled racism, classism, and family dynamics through the lens of an upwardly mobile Black family. Florence wasn't just a maid, she was a razor-sharp commentator on the absurdities of wealth and prejudice, delivering lines like, "Who do you think you are, Mr. Jefferson, the King of England?" with a timing that earned her 8 NAACP Image Awards and a permanent place in TV history. When The Jeffersons ended in 1985, Marla didn't fade, she launched 227, a show she co-created and starred in, portraying the nosy but loving Mary Jenkins in a Chicago apartment building teeming with quirky neighbors. It ran for 5 seasons, cementing her as a producer and visionary. Beyond sitcoms, Marla's reach extended to drama, recurring on Days of Our Lives as Olivia Price starting in 2021, voicing characters in The Thundermans, and even releasing jazz albums that showcased her sultry singing voice. Her off-screen life was equally rich, owning a jazz supper club, founding the Crossroads Arts Academy, and advocating for arts education in underserved communities. At 94, she's still active, appearing at events like the Wilmington Library Conversation in November 2024, where she shared intimate stories of her 50-year career. Marla represents an era when Black performers broke barriers with sheer talent and tenacity, often without the fanfare of today's social media amplification. Enter Garcelle Beauvais, a force of nature born Garcelle Nauda in St. Mark, Haiti, on November 26, 1966, who immigrated to the U.S. at age 7 with her mother and sisters, settling in Peabody, Massachusetts. Raised in a modest household, Garcelle's path to stardom was paved with modeling gigs for Baby Guess at 16, leading to runway shows in Paris and Milan before transitioning to acting. Her breakout came in the 1990s with roles in films like Poison Ivy 2 and TV's NYPD Blue, but it was her portrayal of Assistant D.A. Grace Davidson on NYPD Blue that showcased her dramatic depth. The 2000s brought blockbuster moments, Dylan in Bad Company with Chris Rock, Veronica in Woman Thou Art Loosed, and a pivotal turn as Hannah in the 2012 film Flight alongside Denzel Washington, earning critical acclaim for her nuanced performance. Yet, Garcelle's true cultural impact surged in 2020 when she became the first Black woman to join The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, a franchise synonymous with opulent drama. Over 4 seasons, she navigated the Viper Pit with elegance and unapologetic authenticity, calling out microaggressions and advocating for diversity, even as it isolated her from the cast. Her memoir, Love Me As I Am, released in 2022, became a bestseller, chronicling her journey as a mother of 2 sons from a previous marriage and her experiences as a trailblazer. Joining The Real in 2020 as its 4th co-host, after stints on Hollywood Today Live and Fashion Police, Garcelle brought a fresh, global perspective to the table, discussing everything from pop culture to politics with her co-hosts, blending humor with hard-hitting truths. At 58, she's at the peak of her influence, producing projects like the Netflix series Survival of the Thickest and starring in Hulu's The Other Black Girl, all while championing Black women's stories. The Real itself, launched in 2013 as a Fox syndicated talk show, was designed as a platform for unfiltered, girl chat, evolving from its initial hosts like Jenny McCarthy and Sherri Shepherd to its current lineup that won a Daytime Emmy in 2018 for Outstanding Entertainment Talk Show Hosts. It's a space where celebrities spill tea, experts weigh in on trends, and real talk reigns supreme, until, apparently, Marla Gibbs stepped into the fray. As the cameras roll on this fateful episode, aired live on October 3, 2025, the initial warmth begins to crack under the weight of differing worldviews. Garcelle, fresh off her emotional exit from RHOBH in early 2025, where she walked off the reunion set citing Mean Girl sh*t, and a refusal to pose for a group photo amid ongoing tensions with castmates like Sutton Strack, is in a reflective mood. She's been vocal about prioritizing her mental health and amplifying Black women's voices, as evidenced by her recent projects focusing on generational health taboos. Marla, on the other hand, is there to promote a retrospective documentary on her career, set for PBS release later that month, and she's brimming with pride over her self-made success. The argument ignites when Garcelle asks Marla about mentoring young actresses today. Marla quips, "Darling, I'm mentored by example. You don't handhold success, you hustle for it." Garcelle counters, "But auntie, that hustle came at a cost. We lost so many talents to the grind without support networks." The exchange heats up as Marla retorts, "Lost. We survived, thrived even, without pity parties." The audience gasps as Garcelle leans forward, voice rising, "Pity. This is about equity, not pity, something our generation is finally demanding." The other hosts attempt to mediate, Lonnie with a joke about family reunions gone wrong, Jeannie suggesting a commercial break, but the tension is palpable, cameras zooming in on furrowed brows and clenched fists. What follows is a torrent of words that peel back layers of Hollywood's racial history. Marla defending the "pull yourself up" ethos of her era, citing her own battles against typecasting and pay disparities on The Jeffersons, Garcelle pushing back with statistics on the Me Too movement's uneven impact on women of color and the underrepresentation in executive suites even today. Viewers at home, tuning in via Fox stations or streaming on TheReal.com, are glued to their screens, tweets exploding with hashtag Marla vs Garcelle and hashtag TheRealDrama. Backstage whispers later reveal that producers had prepped for a feel-good segment, but no one anticipated the authenticity turning combative. As the argument peaks, with Marla accusing Garcelle of softening the fight with buzzwords, and Garcelle firing back that Marla's dismissal ignores the scars of progress, security is quietly alerted. The decision to kick her off isn't immediate, it's a producer's call mid-commercial, weighing the live broadcast's volatility against the show's reputation for realness. When they return, the mood is strained, but the damage is done. Marla, sensing the chill, gathers her things with dignified poise, bidding a curt, "Blessings, ladies," before being ushered out by a stage manager. Garcelle, visibly shaken, apologizes to the audience for the passion overriding politeness, but the internet is already alight with opinions. This incident isn't isolated, it mirrors broader conversations in Black entertainment about intergenerational dialogue. Think Oprah's town halls or Ava DuVernay's panels, where elders' triumphs are honored, but their advice sometimes clashes with millennials' calls for structural change. Marla's post-show statement, released via her publicist that evening, reads, "Disagreements are the spice of progress, I stand by my truth, forged in fire." Garcelle, in a heartfelt Instagram live hours later, elaborates, "Auntie Marla is a queen, but queens can evolve too, this was tough love for our shared legacy." Fans are divided. Some hail Marla as the unfiltered voice of resilience, others champion Garcelle as the advocate for unfinished business. As clips go viral, racking up millions of views, analysts on TMZ and the Shade Room dissect every inflection, every pause. But beyond the spectacle lies a poignant reminder of how far we've come, and how far we have to go, in bridging eras. The Real's executive producer, Rachel Moscovic, who once gushed about Garcelle joining the virtual girl chat table in 2020 amid the pandemic, now faces a PR whirlwind, issuing a statement praising both women's contributions. The Real thrives on authentic conversations, even the hard ones. Indeed, this blow-up could redefine the show's legacy, much like past controversies. Remember the 2022 cancellation rumors that Garcelle debunked herself, propelled it forward. For Marla, it's a footnote in a career of firsts. First Black woman to headline a primetime sitcom post-Jeffersons, first to own a jazz club in her name, and now, perhaps, the guest who turned a couch into a coliseum. For Garcelle, it's fuel for her advocacy, aligning with her RHOBH exit where she prioritized self over spectacle. As October 2025 unfolds, with fall leaves mirroring the turning tides in entertainment, this story serves as a catalyst. Will it lead to a reconciliation special, a joint panel at the next NAACP Image Awards, or simply fade into the annals of TV lore? One thing's certain, when titans clash, the echoes reverberate, inspiring a new generation to pick up the torch with eyes wide open to both the victories and the voids. And so, as we pause here in our first chapter of this saga, let's reflect on the women who built these bridges, flawed, fierce, and forever fabulous. Picking up the threads of this electrifying encounter, let's delve deeper into the anatomy of the argument itself, frame by frame, as if we're rewatching the uncut footage in slow motion, savoring every syllable that shifted the atmosphere from convivial to combustible. The episode, titled Legends and Legacies, honoring Black TV icons, was slotted for a 10 a.m. slot on Fox affiliates across the nation, drawing an average viewership of 1.2 million for Feel Good Fare, but this airing spiked to over 2 million within hours, thanks to live alerts from entertainment apps and word of mouth in group chats. As the opening theme, a upbeat R&B track with horns and handclaps, fades out, the co-hosts settle into their seats, each bringing their unique flavor. Adrienne with her pop star poise and family anecdotes, Lonnie with her stand-up comedian edge honed from The Tonight Show appearances, Jeannie with her motivational speaker vibe from the Tiger Mom Diaries, and Garcelle anchoring it all with her international flair and unyielding candor. Marla, positioned center stage in the guest hot seat, sips from a mug of herbal tea, her ritual for soothing vocal cords after decades of belting Florence's zingers, and begins with a story that has the room in stitches. The time on the Jeffersons set when she improvised a line about George's toupee that left Isabel Sanford, playing Wheezy, doubled over for a full take. Isabel said, "Marla, you're dangerous with that mouth." And I replied, "Only to bad hair days." The laughter is genuine, a wave crashing over the set, cameras panning to audience members wiping tears, many of whom were seniors who grew up quoting 227 in school hallways. Garcelle, laughing along, nods appreciatively, her manicured hand gesturing animatedly as she transitions. That's the magic you brought, Marla, making us laugh through the pain. But speaking of pain, how do you feel about the current landscape? With shows like Abbott Elementary carrying the torch, but still so few opportunities for women over 50, especially black women. It's a softball lob, intended to segue into empowerment, but Marla's response packs unexpected heat. Opportunities, child, opportunities are what you make when the door's bolted shut. I knocked on every one from Motown to Manhattan, and when they cracked open, I kicked 'em wide with talent, not tears. The audience claps, interpreting it as motivational grit, but Garcelle's brow furrows, her response measured yet pointed. Kicking doors is noble, but why should we still have to? Data from UCLA's Hollywood Diversity Report shows black women directors are only 4% of hires, and actresses over 40 get 28% less screen time. That's not grit, that's a rigged game. Marla leans back, crossing her arms in that classic Florence pose, her voice dropping an octave. Rigged. Every game's rigged if you wait for fair. I didn't sue for roles, I auditioned till my feet blistered, and look, Emmy nods, Image Awards, a star on the Walk of Fame. That's the real report. The tension coils like a spring, the studio's air conditioning suddenly feeling inadequate as beads of sweat form on the producer's forehead off camera. Lonnie jumps in, her comic timing impeccable. Okay, y'all, before this turns into a roast I can't moderate, let's talk solutions. Who's the next Florence? But the damage is seeded. Garcelle, undeterred, presses on with a personal angle. As the first black housewife on RHOBH, I felt that rig every reunion, microaggressions masked as jokes. Marla, did you ever call out the Jeffersons writers for toning down your edge? Marla's eyes flash. Call out. I wrote my own edges in the margins, slipped 'em past the censors. You young folks with your hashtags and HR complaints, sometimes silence is the sharpest sword. Gasps ripple through the crowd. A woman in the front row whispers to her friend, did she just shade social media activism? Garcelle, her Haitian French accent thickening with emotion, retorts, silence. That silence let predators thrive. Ask Tarana Burke about Me Too starting in 2006 because elders didn't speak up sooner. The argument accelerates.